They always want me to tell them to fuck off, you know. Can you tell me to fuck off?
I love you, but you are not serious people.
Okay, so it's the final season. Who's the character that you're going to miss playing off of the most?
I think it was always a lot of fun to play with Shiv. That was always just like easy and very alive and fun, and it felt just sort of like we were playing ball. We would be handed this lovely ball and we could just sort of like toss it back and forth, and if I fucked up and dropped it, she'll pick it up and be like, that's all right, I got the ball, I'll just say your shit. There've been times when I'll be like, I can't say this line, can you do it? And she'll be like, yeah, I'll take your line. We've done that a lot, like throughout the last 2 years, but this season a lot, we did a lot of like, would you say these lines because I don't want to? And she'll be like, fine, yeah, I'll take them. Do you want this one? I'll say, yeah, I'll take that one. And then we just sort of like,
wow,
play, and like as they're rolling, I'll be like, by the way, I might not say that line, I think something else is gonna come out. And she'll be like, do whatever you want. And I know that like she's got my back. So that's a lot of fun to play with.
I think you're a super talented superstar.
Oh, you're such a fucking bitch.
Jeremy and I have had a lot of these amazing scenes, and our scenes always seem to be the high point of each series, is when we actually come together and he tries to claim what he feels is his right. Yeah. And I feel that he hasn't earned that.
You're not a killer. You have to be a killer.
It's probably Willa, because I spend most of my time with her. Even though she too is delusional, I mean, she thinks she's a playwright, and she's not letting go of that. She does bring him back down to earth occasionally, for moments, about spending money, about what polling at 1% actually means. She's living in the real world a little more often than Connor is.
I mean, could you win?
Good Lord, no.
I worked with this one guy a lot. We did a ton of scenes together. He plays Tom, it's Matthew McFadden. And he's a good actor. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff together, so we got to play. Can I trust you?
Yes, of course you can trust me. To a point, yes.
How could it be anyone but Kieran Culkin as Roman Roy?
You know, if I were capable of any sudden movement, I would totally pounce on you right now.
I actually hear that a lot, usually from men in their 90s.
But the truth is that I really love acting with so many. I love acting with Brian. I love it. I love acting with Matthew McFadden, and I don't get that many chances to. I love my colleagues on the show, David Rashi and Peter Friedman, who play Frank and Carl. I'm gonna really miss that. Dagmara Dominchik, who plays Carolina. Really, the whole cast is very chummy.
What is it that specifically Logan brings out in Jerry that you like to play?
Well, that's changed over the course of the show. Yeah. I have this theory, I've never run it by Jesse, but I feel like whenever Logan advances anyone,
there is no one more loyal than Jerry.
He wakes up the next day kind of disliking them because they have something over him somehow.
Keep Jerry close. Keep an eye on her.
And I feel like being named the interim CEO and then ending the way season 3 did with finding out about, Roman's disgusting habits directed at me, it changed, because I think I used to be his confidant, his most loyal. He'd always like, get me Jerry. And that, I think, changed. And even in the first episode of season 4, there's a reference when he's trying to get us all to roast him, and it's not funny to me.
Yeah.
So I feel like the sands are shifting for Jerry, like she's not on terra firma.
All a bit horrible for me, thanks, Logan.
So now that HBO has a hit series based on a video game with The Last of Us, I want to imagine a Succession video game. What would your character's superpower be?
Avoiding work. If he would lose points if for some reason he was made to work in any fashion. So I just think he just has to keep skirting.
And what do you do, Connor?
Well,
Connor doesn't really do anything.
I feel like he can run really fast. I just think huge gait. Greg's body, coincidentally, is my body as well. So I think I can run pretty fast. So if you need somebody to, be a messenger, except not on a bike, but running, I think that'd be my thing. Lot of stamina. He can jump relatively high too, if there's something on a shelf.
Fuck yeah.
She'd be the one kind of covering the tracks. so that the villain can't get them.
It seems that there are a great many of these documents that were destroyed in the course of normal data management and corporate housekeeping.
I don't know, I guess. I don't play video games, so you know who you should ask is Kieran Culkin, because he does play those games.
Last of Us was a brilliant video game, but that was like one of the first video games where I was like, this is amazing story-wise. I'm surprised they didn't start with that being a show or a movie first. It started as like, people had a brilliant idea and they made it a game. But I'm trying to think, like, would Succession be the most boring video game ever? Would it be? Like,
Could be.
Like, unless you just turn it into like a Street Fighter type game and, you know, and then, I guess people would have to have superpowers and, you know, Logan's just would be like shouting and their skin would peel off and stuff like that.
I will win.
I absolutely love Greg and Tom's new nickname for themselves, the Disgusting Brothers.
The Disgusting Brothers.
Don't call us that. Don't. It's heavily ironized, Greg.
How did that come about?
Jesse told me about it on a Zoom, like before we'd even seen scripts. He was just like, I think there's a thing about they're calling themselves Disgusting Brothers.
Pretty cool. Do you have a logo?
It was perfect. It's like, okay, they've landed on the Logan side and they're feeling good, and Tom's feeling good about breaking off from Shiv, and they're players. They think they're players. Going around town, slaying.
I love that as pulling back the curtain on craft. Just before the scripts, before anything else, we have the Disgusting Brothers.
Yeah, he gave me about 6 months to get into the headspace of being a disgusting brother. So, yeah. I was ready to go, day one.
The Disgusting Brothers on motherfucking tour.
If you could go all the way back to season 1 and give your character any piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't take Roman Roy's phone calls when you're at home.
No after-hour calls.
That's where it all started.
You disgusting little pig.
That's the thing about Jerry is I feel like she's so level-headed. She hasn't done anything rash. She keeps saying to Roman, stop it. This is not going to end well. Don't do that. Don't be so careless. Don't send me those items on the phone.
You don't want pictures of my dick?
No.
Okay.
You know, she doesn't quite take her own advice. Like I think she's still hoping to craft a business relationship. Or I think in her heart of hearts, she wants a protege. You know, like he'd be the Roy and I'd be the major domo behind him after it's handed down. And I just think that was a pipe dream, and that was her fatal flaw, was ever giving it even the time of day.
Yeah.
I'd lay you badly, but I'd lay you gladly.
Can I remind you, Roman, that so far as I'm concerned, nothing has ever happened between us other than of a professional nature.
Gotta be curious though, right?
I guess I would say, like, stick up for yourself more. You know, oftentimes, like, when he would be told to shut up or get out of a room.
You, outside. Out fucking side now!
Or, you know, that he's a sprinkle.
How about Tom with some fucking Greg sprinkles?
He could have fought a little harder, fought back. But I think Greg does his very best. I'm more than a sprinkle. You gotta go through what you gotta go through, and that's a lot of hazing. I think he was pretty coddled as a child. Single mom, only child, and so I think he needs to get beat up a bit. So it's good for him.
Well, he was kind of a punching bag for the family. He never really spoke up for himself until the very end of the third season.
I'm the eldest son. I'm the eldest son. Whoa. And I must be considered, and I need to be taken into account.
I guess I would just tell him to, if it was possible, just to stand up for himself a little more.
I am the eldest son.
But I mean, that's really not the character, and that's not how Jesse wrote it.
I am the eldest son.
As a friend, I would say, don't take that crap, you know, don't speak up for yourself.
I am the eldest son.
If you could go back to season 1 Roman and give him a bit of advice.
No, I don't think I would. I think who he sort of was right for the time. Like when the show started, he was not in the company anymore, and I think he the way I see it, he was never meant to sort of be the guy. It was always just gonna be Dad forever, and he's been grooming Kendall, so there wasn't really a spot for Roman. But he was like, he made peace with that. Whatever, I'm rich, I'm not in the company.
That was a bad fit. You know, it was never a corporate cocksuck anyway.
Then it gets taken from Ken, and Dad has his stroke or whatever, and then suddenly there's a door that's sort of open for him. But he wasn't quite ready for it, but he saw it.
I'm not uninterested.
So I wouldn't give any advice because I think there's no way to be ready until you have enough experience. There's not like a moment that goes, click, I'm good at my job now. I know what to do. It happens sort of gradually. And it does happen for Roman. There've been a few moments, but I think even last season, there's been a few where I think Roman was like, shit, I think I could do this now. I might be a bit green, but I think I can do it now.
I kill Kendall, I'm crowned the king. Just like in Hamlet. If that happens in Hamlet, I don't care.
I would advise him to keep clear in his thinking. I would advise him to really examine what his relationship with his children is. And it's laudable that he wants his children to succeed, but really, you've got to understand their lack of worth, you know. And he's tried because he's always wanted one of his children to succeed him. And it's failed miserably. And that's sad for Logan. I mean, his weakness is he loves his children. If he didn't love his children, he'd be a lot happier man. You know? In episode 2, I just say at one point, I said, you know, the problem is you're not serious people. And I think that's what he really feels, that none of his children, when under scrutiny, are serious people. So in a way, that's a source of great sadness to Logan. But also he feels that he's failed his children. I spoiled you, and now you're nothing. You're curdled cream. I mean, that's hard, especially in relations to Siobhan, because he really, I think at the end of the day, that's who he would have liked to have taken over. You know, and in a way, that's a kind of great thing, because you're moving from a patriarchy to a matriarchy. And he would allow that, he's all for that happening. But she can't keep her mouth shut.
For fuck's sake, Dad, just tell him it's gonna be me.
She opens her mouth and puts both her feet in it.
My dad doesn't really like to be pushed.
No.
Oh, so there could be repercussions.
I think that is a source of great sadness for him. So each season is frustrated because each child doesn't step up to the plate, won't take the responsibility. And there's a lot of blame going on without actually saying, you know, it's a job, but do it.
Fucking amateur hour at the fucking circus.
So I would just say to Logan, you know, Logan, let go. Just let go of them. Don't put all your eggs in those particular baskets, because at the end of the day, all will be is scrambled eggs.
Fuck off, you nosy fucking pedestrians.
The vulgarity of language on Succession is legendary, creative, and very frequent.
You're a bunch of silk-stalking fucks!
Little Lord Fuckleroy.
What a fucking egocentric great white.
That's about as choreographed as a dog getting fucked on roller skates.
When you leave set, do you need to remind yourself what you can or can't say to people?
I curse terribly, and my children have often remarked, they're like, I have an 8-year-old, and he's like, Dad, don't curse. When I drive, especially. I shouldn't drive anymore, probably.
Do you have a favorite crude phrase that anyone on the show has said?
Buckle up, fucklehead is gold. I mean, it's just gold.
Buckle up, fucklehead.
Jerry doesn't swear particularly, although I have wanted to a few times. I almost did some improving once or twice where I, would have not been so ladylike.
It was a scene we did, and they said, feel free to play with very different temperatures. We started throwing insults at each other, and I said, yeah, why don't you draft up a statement? Do you want me to do it for you? She goes, oh yeah, you're gonna do it? Yeah, good luck doing it. Do you even know your password? I'll send it to you, you little asshole. As I'm walking out, she said, you little fucking asshole, and I said, eat my pussy, bitch.
I mean, that's kind of the great thing about it. In real life, we don't really say horrible things to each other that are the most direct. So I think that's the joy of being in the scenes, getting those scripts, and then for fans watching, it's pretty special how much they tear each other apart and but just really just shit on each other. I like the line in the first episode for Logan forcing Greg to roast him. Just say, well, where are your kids? Where are your kids on your big birthday? How about that for a roast? Where are your kids? Where's all your kids, Uncle Logan? on your big birthday. You know, that was exciting to get that little moment. That was like, okay, Greg's like getting some balls here. He's growing some testes. No, he's, okay, Jesse gave me an opportunity to like spew something out that Greg never would have season 1.
Yep.
But he's getting more and more permission to be that.
Do you find yourself needing to reset a little bit on how people
I
talk?
wish I could reset more. People won't let me. They always want me to tell them to fuck off.
Fuck off!
Well, fuck off.
Fuck off.
Oh, fuck off.
Fuck off. Fuck off. You, fuck off. If you can't do it, fuck off.
You know, can you tell me to fuck off? And I go, what the fuck? Why did they want me to tell them to fuck off? Well, there must be something really deep in that. We've reached a kind of whole level that we're not really aware of, and we're going up and asking a guy off the television to tell him to fuck off. Human beings, they're so stupid.
What are you waiting for? A kiss? Fuck off.